Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce that Smooth Sack Summer is officially upon us. When you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Get 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use code THPN. The Manscaped Performance 5.0 Ultra has everything you need to prepare that summer bod. Inside this package, you'll find the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. So remember, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code THPN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code THPN at manscaped.com. It's Smooth Sack Summer, boys. Get on board or get left behind.
Hello. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 210A of Tales with TR, which precedes 210B, which will feature James Cybulski. James Cybulski, of course, I mean, to a lot of Canada's a household name. He worked for TSN, Sportsnet, did the Olympics, has a Gemini Award. I'd like to ask him about that. From Ottawa. Went to Algonquin College. So he interviewed me a few months ago with Mike Commodore, with and Andrew Raycroft with the Clearing the Crease podcast, which he's involved in. And anyway, I asked him to come on sometime. And he said yes. Now, I really enjoy the Clearing the Crease podcast. I don't have time to listen to all of them out there, and I don't listen regularly, but, well, regularly as in a month won't go by I don't listen to something, but I can't listen to it every day now. But I do enjoy it. But the interesting thing, so as far as current relevance, Cybulski does Clearing the Crease. He's also the voice play-by-play for the Abbotsford Canucks, the American League team, Vancouver's farm team. Fair enough. But many of you, if you play in the NHL series online, EA Sports, EASHL, as I do. He's one of the play-by-play guys. He's one of the commentators. He's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. I think he's awesome at it. Like anything, of course, public opinion will vary, but I think he's awesome. What I do, not that you asked, so me and my buddies play in the EASHL, and for those that don't know, it's like, you take a position for the whole game. It's not like you're playing against somebody. If I play left wing, my character plays it all game, right? And we get a bunch of guys to log in, play with a team of hopefully 6. It's hard to get a goalie, at least 2, right? And then the computer will fill it 7. Anyway, you form a team and you play games against teams from all over the world. And it's a bit of fun. It's nice. I'd say like stress relief. It's not why I do it, but often I do it and I'm like, I'm pretty relaxed. Get together with your buddies, play some hockey in a virtual world. Why not? What I do, I turn off the commentating and just hear the fan sounds until it's a big game. And then I crank it up. And Cybulski goes fucking crazy in a lot of them. He went crazier like 4 years ago. I noticed the last couple of years he's more subdued. I'm going to ask him about that. And just the crazy career that he's had, which I could do fucking an hour at least podcast just on the NHL series that he's part of. There's so much to unpack. It's one thing to be commentating in the NHL series, but like how many? I mean, there must be 5,000 names. So then you got to go through each name. Then pass to by, or I'm guessing, pass by Ryan, pass by McDavid, pass by Cybulski. You must have to do that. There must be just a lot more to it than it sounds like. Each situation the video game is so fucking awesome. Like, I also play MLB The Show a lot. I can see it in baseball. There's a pitch, there's a swing. It's going to be a foul ball or a fair ball in the air on the ground. There's only so many options. But in hockey, there's so many nuances to the game and different ways to make the same call. And, you don't want to get repetitive, although the same thing's happening all the time. But if it's too repetitive, it's going to be obvious. Really. And it's a very realistic game, so they don't take that shit lightly. So I'm sure that there's a lot goes into it. I can't wait to ask James about that. I was just in Marystown, Newfoundland. Penny Lane went down to play a couple of soccer games. Congrats, under 15 Mount Pro girls, by the way. A couple of big wins, 6 points. And just a wicked spot. I get some awesome memories growing up, going down there to play soccer. Used to be the soccer capital of Canada, they would call it. Burin, Marystown, Lawn, that whole Grand Banks, like that whole area of South Coast Newfoundland. A lot of soccer, so we went down there a lot as a kid. And one of my best sports memories, beating Rudy Norman and the mighty St. Lawrence under 14 squad. And we ended up winning the Atlantic Championships that year, 3-0 over Moncton in Moncton. Awesome childhood memory. You would think most of them would be hockey, but we took it as serious as hockey, man. We were just athletes growing up. Neither one of us had any fucking aspirations to be a pro athlete in any one of the sports. I mean, I guess subconsciously maybe, but we were just out having fun, wanting to be the best. We wanted Mount Pearl to be the best. However that's going to happen, fine. Is there a future in it for me? Sure, great. But can Mount Pearl please be the best first? But anyway, I was driving down. It's probably a 3-hour drive, I'm guessing, right around there. Yeah, 3 hours. So I stopped in Whitburn, which is almost halfway, not quite. That's where, like, there's, a series of gas stations and everything. So I stopped to get a coffee. And when I started up again, I was driving and it was traffic, so I didn't want to be looking down at my phone, right, and texting or changing songs or whatever it might have been. During that time, more because it's dangerous than anything. And I often, even if there's like a situation where I can pull it off, I don't like to make a habit of it. Like, what a wasted life that would be, right? Hey, Penny Lane. Hey, like Mrs. Ryan, Mr. Ryan, your buddies. How did Terry die? Well, he was like flicking back between playlists on Spotify while he went around a corner in Marystown. Just on the way to Marystown. Just stupid. So I didn't put on a podcast or any music. I just drove in silence for a little bit. Now, first it was forced, and then I realized this is where I get my ideas. But there's so much time I spend that's used to be not static, but I used to, like you're waiting, or you're waiting really meant using your thoughts, right? Like, if I don't know, think of times when you wait. Like right now, if I go to my family doctor, Dr. Jane's up the road, it's not a huge deal if I got to wait for a half hour or 45, because I'll just go on my phone. I can do any number of things on my phone. What do? I usually check emails, get shit done. But, I can play Scrabble. I can go on social media. I can watch a movie if I got headset with me, or, AirPods or whatever. So because of all that, and the same thing when I'm driving. When I'm driving, it's either music or podcast, one or the other. If I didn't have it, I suppose I'd turn on the radio. But it used to be a lot of the time we drove, walked, ran, waited with no device, with not listening to a story, not reading through social media, not trying to get back to somebody, not checking updates. And I found, as I do often, I'm as much a victim of the times as anything. I often go, this new younger generation, old man yelling at clouds, whatever, addicted to social media. But it takes, I don't want to admit it, but I'm the same way. I don't know if it's a social media thing with me. It's always needing to be entertained. I didn't realize it till I was driving, right? And I started to, for those in Newfoundland, when you take the turn off down to Marystown, it's probably another 150 kilometers from there on a smaller road that the speed limit goes between 80 and 90. It's not anymore 100 or 110 like it would be on the highway. It is a highway, but just a little smaller, one lane all the way down. So you got to be attentive on there, a lot of moose and stuff, right? So I'm driving, and I was just enjoying the sound of the wind. I had my Jeep, I had the windows down and like the front part of the roof off, the sunroofy part. I had those put in the back. And I really enjoyed it. And I had a bunch of ideas. One, I'm not going to say, but I've been approached to like host TV shows, not like ones that are already in existence, people that, have an idea and maybe think I'd be a decent host. And who knows, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I had some ideas. I wasn't even going for that. I was just driving by, cove after cove, and there's people out, and I walking and whatever they're doing, fishing and hanging. And I just, like, a few ideas came to me. I'm not going to give them away right now, but, in little ways, even small things, like what I can do to my house. Like, I wasn't listening to music, and I thought, wow, this is nice. I was thinking, it's nice to be patient. And now that led me to thinking, I can just flick through any song. Like, it used to be nice to listen to an album, but now I talk about listening to albums here and there. By album, I don't necessarily mean like on the vinyl record player. I mean, things came out in album form. So I don't know, Green Day Dookie. There's one of my favorite modern bands. Green Day Dookie came out in the mid 90s when I was in Tri-City, and I was just getting into kind of the grungy punk feeling of they're from, I was out close to Seattle with Nirvana and Pearl Jam and everything, but they're from Oakland, I think. Not far. It's West Coast rock. And so they were a big part of my growing up. So I like the music, yes, but I also like, I like the band, just the culture surrounding it. And that's much as being attached to the age group and my peers as anything else. But anyway, so I was like, and I still found it hard to just listen to the whole thing without like skipping ahead. Or like going, what's another, what this song reminds me of? The Rolling Stones Satisfaction. And I'm like, fuck, relax, man. Relax. So I took my phone, I put it on a few albums that I hadn't heard in a while. Dookie, Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan. And I just ended up going out and getting a record, T-Rex, Electric Warrior.
The chase for the Stanley Cup continues, and the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is just as hot as it is on the ice. With same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more, don't miss out as the Stanley Cup playoffs wind down. You can bet the over-under for any game throughout the Stanley Cup final. Or maybe you think your favorite player from the Edmonton Oilers or the Florida Panthers is feeling lucky tonight, and you want to bet on them to be an anytime goal scorer. And there's tons more you can bet on with DraftKings Sportsbook. And if you're new to DraftKings, you gotta check this out. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.co/ice for eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved.
And I'm listening to those, and it just led me, just a little idea. I'm like, why don't I get my records on the go? So I came back, and I bought a few upgrades, got my record player back on the go again. I mean, like I say, we have thousands of vinyl. I just don't play them a lot anymore. So, now I got those out, and they're great. And they don't, for some reason, when I put on vinyl, I'm completely at ease. I don't need to skip ahead. In my mind, it's side of an album. I treat the side of an album on record, on vinyl, like I would treat a song, because, who wants to get up and down? And so if you're cleaning up or you're around the house or you're whatever, it's often nice to put on vinyl because it teaches you to be patient, as does a car ride with no fucking internet-based options, right? I mean, it's not like I'm anti-technology. I'm still listening to the fucking tunes on there and everything. It's just wild how much of a magnet social media and even just not media, but Google. Google. Just any internet search could be Bing. I don't know Google why I said that, but because it's just there. You can just go by and everything from Google Maps where you're going to places you're driving through. And there's information out there, and I tend to use the information the right way. A lot of people don't fucking care about, they're probably on there checking, I don't know, fucking Kardashian updates. I really do use social media, I think, usually to my benefit. I like to read the news. I like to read both sides of the news, the Republican shit and the Democrat shit, to see what's going on in the world, in the U.S. and Canada. The odd time, I'll check out BBC, see what's happening overseas, right? Have an eye in. Not an expert, but just have an idea what's going on in the world. And then I narrow it down. I do some podcasts that sports based that I can use here when I talk to you guys, some music stuff. So I'm all over the map, but I'm gathering information a lot of the time. I'm not flicking through TikTok. I do flick through Twitter. I follow the media outlets for the most part. But anyway, so even though in my mind I'm using social media to the good, it's still just always there. And the internet and social media and just LinkedIn. And it's nice sometimes not to be LinkedIn. And if you're listening to this and you have any level of anxiety, and I know I get a lot of people on here talking about mental health and everything, because I identify with that. And I've had guests on like Corey Hirsch, like Raleigh Cote, that go through it. And to be honest, I think that most stress and anxiety and depression, I think it's human. Some people obviously are higher in some categories than others. If you can't tell, I'm highly strung. I bet if I got diagnosed, if I was ADHD or OCD to some degree, I could see that. I could definitely see it with my dad. It maybe is hereditary to some degree. I get all that. But I also think there's a level of that's human. That's what it's like to be human. And I mean, we wouldn't be talking about anxiety and depression hundreds of years ago, when not even like in the very, very recent past when it comes to human history. Really, we were worried about going to bed like being eaten by a lion when we went, or the king's men accusing you of being a witch or a sorcerer or something, putting you to death. There was a lot of reasons to die young, or you could get a fucking infection just a few hundred years ago and you die. Before, we joke about, vaccines. But whatever you think of the COVID vaccine, and that's an argument unto itself, or any other vaccine. But the point is, when we came up with vaccines a few hundred years ago, I should know the guy's name. Ridiculous, I don't. It was a breakthrough, right? Humans went overnight. The average age went from like 35 to 60-something, right? Just because we knew how to fuck with vaccines. Now, I'm not saying they're all great, and I'm not saying there's not flaws. I'm not trying to bring this into the fucking pandemic COVID-19 world, but the fact is, whether you like it or not, vaccines were a big advancement in the history of human life and culture and longevity. So the further you go back, like if you think you got anxiety because you got a fucking exam on Friday, right? If you think you got anxiety because you just lost a client, if you think you got anxiety because your team lost and now it's 3-2, picture having a wife that just had a kid that nearly died in childbirth, that has no medication to help her. Picture the kid being born premature, and you're looking at it going, this could die any day. I got to feed these things. And you're worried about life and death and the bare bones of that, the human side. Like either I live or I fucking die. There's no time to be caught up in conspiracies or anything else, or the Florida Panthers, or Kim Kardashian, or whatever it is, or even a book, right? I might fucking die tomorrow. So we don't have that nowadays. Now, Does that mean that nobody has anxiety, depression? No, it fucking doesn't. That's not what I'm saying. I do believe it's inherited. I do believe it's created. There's all kinds of things. I had a very little money for a few years, and it was the source of my frustration. I can see how people go off the deep end, and I can totally see it, especially if you don't have a good support system. I'm just saying that in my case, I realized I didn't like taking Ativan. It made me feel buzzed in a bad way and hungover when I got off of them. That's one of the reasons I made the switch to cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. And but I find the therapy that helps the most is just taking time to yourself, right? Like, and I've done it before. I do it here and there. I do, but I always have like music playing. Like when I say, I think I explained on here sometimes, like I might go fishing. I'm not even a great fisherman. I might go on my own, might go on my bike on my own. I might, and that does happen. I like my own personal space, but I didn't even realize within that personal space, I'm always listening to music or a podcast or something. So it's nice sometimes to think and to just go on a drive or ride your bike or whatever. I found I was losing my, now looking back, but in a little bit of way, I was losing my creativity. Those 2 books I wrote, I would get home once they were on the go, I would get home every like day or two and like I had to have an idea, and they all are based on like journal entries I made and stuff. So like I'd look at one and go, I was kind of excited about writing a chapter, an entry, which ended up being a chapter. Like I'd be excited about that. And as I did it, I would be reminiscing about friends, situations that I'd been in the past. And I would always enjoy it. But just in the last few years, I'm not going back like 10. I'm going back only a few years. Maybe it was the pandemic with so much downtime and the creation of so many podcasts that it's almost like I always need to be entertained. And I didn't even realize this till the drive to Marystown. I think most of us can identify, if you're lucky enough to live in a democracy like me and, be awarded the privilege to earn money to buy these things, our computers, our microphones, our phones, our social media in the first place, our gimmicks, our pods, our coffee, whatever the fuck it is. There are therapies that don't involve swallowing pills, is all. And I talk about being creative and everything, but sometimes it's just being alone and being fucking quiet. I don't like waiting in line. I didn't like those things. I mean, I'm glad I can go to the doctor's office now and fucking do emails while I'm at it and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But I'd forgotten, like, the process of waiting wasn't as bad as I thought it was, right? Like, I think back, I hate waiting. But even if it was a doctor's office, right? You'd go in, at the most, you'd grab Reader's Digest or whatever magazine. Like, it wasn't so bad. And creating ideas of your own wasn't so bad. And I just find lately I've been doing less of that because I've been relying on other people to entertain me. And at least as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go back to maybe giving myself a few extra hours of me time. And that's laying down. And that might be putting on classical music in the background that I don't have to think about words or rhythms or playlists. Or maybe it's just the breeze blowing by on a nice summer day. In any case, keep aware of those things. Not all therapy comes in the form of a doctor or a pill bottle or a bottle or a joint. Sometimes it's just in your head. James Cebulski coming up real soon. Got some awesome guests lined up, folks. If you're downtown St. John's, you want to go for a beer, why not go to the Bull and Barrel, Trinity Pub, TJ's Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, of course, Greensleeves. You're going to go for a bite to eat. Try the Loose Tie, Merchant Tavern, Blue on Water. Also, why not go to Wedgwood Cafe on Elizabeth Avenue? Peter Wedgwood, they also do catering, Wedgwood Cafe. You want to change your life, strength and balance for the body and mind. Go to Ryan Power Conditioning. If you want to check out Mr. Lube, there's 2 locations here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. One's on Kemart Road, the other's on Torbay Road. Live, laugh, lube. Of course, Pitbull Pain Relief, pain sticks that just don't quit. Go to pitbullpainrelief.com, see what all the fuss is about. True Hockey, take what's yours. Folks, thanks for listening. I'll be back in just a couple of days with more Tales with TR. Catch you on the rebound.